Alright, I don't remember where we were at last time, but got this thing back together. When he initially brought it to me, number 6 injector was hung wide open, and when we were trying to turn it over on the trailer, I heard it trying to hydrolock. So pulled the plugs out, and that one was just free flowing out the cylinder. So got everything swapped over, got this thing back in, so it's the same Gen 3 5.3. I think they're 7.0, no, these are 862 heads. And got the cam and springs and everything I needed from the other engine. Got this one all back together and was cleaning the injectors to try to get that one unstuck, which I was able to get this one unstuck. And then when I got on this side, I had two that just wouldn't seal. So we contacted them. I think it was FIC. I think they're 1,000cc injectors, and he was able to buy two, and they're $100 a piece. So they're quite expensive. The Holley ones I run are 100 lb/hour injectors, and they're $400 something. And obviously these are 8 something. So anyway, they just came in today. He's supposed to, well, I'm going to Michael's tomorrow down to the dyno with the Caprice. I put the in-tank pump last time, the duty cycle was way up just at idle. It was in the 90% range, so it's pretty much maxed out trying to make it idle. So I've done a lot of those fuel baskets before, and most of the time what I see is the filter assembly that's in there. It has this T-shaped filter, and it curls up around the pump and fit the way it fits in the bucket. And they're typically very nasty and filthy. So I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's because it was a cop car. I don't know where they get fuel or what the deal is. But every one I've seen out of the Caprice, and I've done a lot of those baskets because I've figured out how to cut them and set them up so you could run a 450 or 525 in them. And the design of the basket's absolutely horrible. It has that filter assembly first, then you have the pump, and then the pump basically discharges straight up and has about this much room, and then has to do a 180-degree turn, goes through a cartridge filter that's encapsulated into the body of the basket, pressurizes that, and then there's a regulator part in the bottom of the basket, and then at the top there's a 90-degree fitting that comes out and around to the hat, which is and comes through the hat, and then you have the discharge that hooks up into the car. And typically when you bypass all that stuff, it really drops the duty cycle a lot. So anyway, I bypass all that, and then you have to actually cut that cartridge style filter out, and then it uses a Venturi style system because the car has like a saddle tank, so it has a siphon from the driver's side to the passenger side, I guess, to equalize the fuel level in both tanks. So obviously you want to keep that fully functional. So I use a brass T and put a small nipple in there and use the discharge, the pressure side from the 525 or whatever pump you have to keep that siphon operational, the Venturi operational, so it keeps the level, maintains the level in the tank. So anyway, since I was going down there and I knew it was already tapped out on being at idle, I wanted to go ahead and make sure I had the fuel. So he's going to help me go over the trans tune, because we really didn't get to spend a lot of time on it or any time on it, because when we were driving around, the hob switch that I bought wasn't working, so we didn't have the other pump coming on, so we weren't able to get into boost and let him finish tuning it. So anyway, I've got the 4-bar map sensor I'm taking down there with me, and then he's going to go with the trans tune, and now we got that pump, so he'll work on the transition where the auxiliary pump turns on and get all that fueling and whatnot right. So anyway, that's that. But I want to get the intake back on this thing. I want to get the other injector, get this thing going, and just I want to check everything over just for peace of mind and sanity check, and then I'll work on rerouting this downpipe. And well, I don't think I showed it with the engine in it. I think I'd already gotten ahead of myself and gotten the engine out of it on the last video. But so it goes outside the frame rail here, and there's not, I mean, that's all the room you have right here to go under below these heater hoses. I don't see a flashlight. Let me grab my flashlight real quick. So there's the room right there, or lack thereof. So I was looking at it from underneath, and I haven't verified that a 4-inch will fit in there yet. So I don't know. I think it'll fit. I mean, it with a hammer and a sawzall, everything will fit. But I'll have to redo the crossover, and the wastegate's right in the way. So it'll be a lot of rework to get this inside of the frame rail. And like I said, that's if it'll even fit. So, but I don't know if I said, but this is the same turbo that was on Little Red, the same turbo that's on Clifford. It's a 8375, I think they call it. So it's the S. This is the T4 S480 on VS Racing site, and it has a billet wheel, and it's a 110 T4, and it's a 4-inch downpipe, and then it's a V-band discharge on the compressor side, and I don't know what diameter filter that is, probably 5-inch if I had to guess. But yeah, got everything back together on it, and like I say, just been waiting on those injectors and trying to figure that out, and waiting on parts and other things going on. I did that fuel basket, and then we got this thing in. It was somebody had done they had put DOD back in it, so apparently the DOD had failed in it, and they did a looked like eBay, or that it didn't look like a good quality DOD replacement stuff. But anyway, it was skipping on number 4, and when I tore it down, the intake lobe on number 4 was just absolutely destroyed. So I think it had, the DOD had failed, and then whoever did the work didn't notice that the cam was messed up and just put DOD lifters and all. But the other thing is that cam, the oil pump and all that's not an OEM, obviously. So I don't know. I just hate going behind people who don't know the history on this thing. So it's just kind of a guessing game as to what it is. But I actually checked the compression. It had compression on number 4. It had spark, and there was a lot of fuel. So I checked the injector to make sure it wasn't hung open, and it operated fine. So I'm waiting on the cam gear, because when you put a 3-bolt, this is a non-DOD. This is just a stock cam that's actually out of the 4.8 over there. So yeah, I need the cam gear that has the 4X things on the front, so the cam sensor picks it up, because this is a 58X motor. So anyway, that's the other parts. They ordered them yesterday. And I mean, they got here this morning, so I was like, well, I'll go ahead and do what I can on it, and got it. It was a short block an hour or two ago, and cleaned everything up, put the other cam in it, new cam plate, new lifters and trays, and got it all back together as far as I want to get it until I get that cam gear, and then put the front cover and all on, get it together, and turn off the DOD with HP tuners, and then hopefully this thing will run well and get it on the road for them. It was a repo truck. Somebody, took it upon themselves to write profanities on it. I don't know why people do that, but anyway, that's the first word they got to carve into the paint. Starts with an F. And from what I understand, whenever they got this truck, it was a really, really nice truck. They got it at an auction, and then I don't know, I guess whoever was buying it, the DOD failed, and then paid some money to fix it. And it looks like they did an okay job. I mean, it wasn't as bad as the Marketplace engine. So got the delete plate in there. Summit doesn't have the OEM one anymore. I have to buy the Summit brand one now. The OEM one's on back order till next year, so. But anyway, the Summit one's the same price. Nothing else really going on. I talked to them about the engine today. They got my 6.0. Hey, they had to put 2 sleeves in it, and then he said that they're gonna need to bore it. So I wasn't excited about that. I was like, well, please go in the least amount that's needed, because I don't like to bore them. I don't like to take out the cylinder wall. There's the high rim. It amazes me how expensive these things are. I had one of these probably 12 years, like when they first came out, like 12 years ago, I think, 10 or 12 years ago. And now the price of them from what I paid back then is incredible. I think when I sold mine, I sold it for more than I paid for it. I don't know why I sold it, but I did. So, well, they're tall. They're just really tall up here at the front part. So, most of the cars, the hood comes down, and that's pokes through the hood. It did on my Zephyr anyway, so we had to cut a teardrop hole or whatever in it to fit. So hopefully I'll get those injectors tomorrow when I go down to see Michael, and then get this thing going for him, make sure everything's okay as it is, and then see where we're at, and then work on trying to reroute the downpipe and, just tidy some things up and everything, see what he wants to do. But anyway, that's the shop update for now. Oh, I don't know if I mentioned or not, but the red truck, I was coming back get a transmission for that black truck. And so on the way back, cruising along 80 on interstate, and then I eased on the throttle, and then it just revved up, and I was just shocked. So I looked down, and after I did it a couple more times, I looked down, and my trans temp was over 200 degrees, and ambient temperature outside was 60. And the truck, that transmission never gets over 100, and only gets to about 150 or so towing. And I talked to Yank today and told him what I was doing. I was like, it feels like the converter's not holding anymore, which is preposterous, because that's a $2,000 torque converter. That's why I bought a $2,000 torque converter, is because I didn't want to deal with a slipping converter or tearing up a converter. And I mean, I could be wrong. It could be something else, but they said whatever the words you never want to hear. Well, pull it out and send it in. We'll cut it open and see what's wrong with it and see if that's what it is. So now I've got to get my truck in here and get the converter cut open and see if that's it. And I guess I'll have the trans checked out while it's out. Might as well. And then the other thing is we were going to Summit and the orange dually, and because the transmission was messed up in Clifford. And daggone thing just shut off. We were running 80 miles an hour coming up interstate. Bam, just shut off like I turned the key off. And then I walked, 2-3 miles, however far it was, to the gas station. Come back, truck fired right up. So my buddy used to work at Riverside Ford. God, it's been like 20 years ago now. Back when those trucks were new, it's kind of funny, to think about that now. But he used to work there when these trucks were new. I know how that's hard to think about. But anyway, so he was there, when they were doing all the cam sensor recalls on those trucks. So he surprisingly still had at least one. I stopped by there today. I had to tune a truck for another another guy that works there. So he gave me a new cam sensor, and I just went and put that in. And and I know y'all don't remember this, but I said I wasn't gonna buy stuff and do it. But anyway, that stuff will be here Monday, so I'll be doing a bunch of riffraff stuff and everything on the orange truck, which I know nobody on this channel cares about the orange truck, including myself nowadays. But I'll be doing a lot of stuff with that, trying to get it where I want it. And after I finish these jobs, maybe I'll go ahead and order me a turbo and bigger injectors for the 7.3 and see if we can get it where I want it. And then still trying to figure out how to get rid of those semi wheels. And apparently finding a Alcoa 19.5 and 8x225 bolt pattern is rather difficult. So I've tried to find somebody that would trade with me, but they're either in Canada or California, so that hasn't worked out. And again, if I do go to the 19.5 with the 31-inch tire, then it's gonna give me the full effect of the 488 gears, and that's really gonna limit highway speed. So yeah, and speaking of, I don't know how fast we're running. I just turned it to 2500. I wasn't going over that. I don't think it was probably about 75s, about 2500 the way it's set up. But anyway, that's it for now.